you want to go?
Cool, good.
Yeah.
I'll just follow your lead.
Alright. Awesome.
Happy the
Right.
got the downline going.
Sweet, okay. Yo! What is crack, my friends? How are you doing today? Today I'm joined by a very unusual guest who you probably am aware of but have not seen on this YouTube channel before. Would you like to introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are,
Sure.
even though probably.
I'm Tom, aka the Bodyweight Warrior. I make YouTube videos as well, more specifically on handstands, flexibility, bodyweight training, all that good stuff.
Represent.
Represent.
Not even represent.
Represent.
Anyway, you know, Tom, like, what are we doing here? Obviously, like, they may not know what on earth is going on.
I'm glad you are. We're here today, we're teaching a workshop in London, myself and Ulrik, my partner in crime. He's a hand balancer, very skilled, can do one arms. I'm less skilled, but I do the flexibility and strength stuff, and Jake is here and we annihilated his shoulders.
Right, sweet. So, yeah, so with that said, you know, would you like to tell the viewer your backstory in regards to how you started? Because obviously you have pretty much done a lot since you began your fitness journey, and how you really got started into calisthenics.
Sure. So I was about 17, 18. I had some more freedom in terms of what I could eat, and I just chose to eat Subway, Ben & Jerry's, tray cakes, Cocoa Pops. My lunch at school used to be like a box of Cocoa Pops, a pint of milk, and a massive thing. It was like eating all that.
I used to, I'd FaceTime and play Xbox all night, and then at 3 AM, I'd literally go downstairs, get a whole bowl of Cocoa Pops.
Sometimes part of me misses that a little bit, especially the Xbox. Anyway, so I did that. Needless to say, got a bit of weight, a bit chubby. I've always surfed since a young age, and I couldn't surf properly because I was fat and unfit. So I went swimming, and that was like the first thing that I did, and one thing led to another. Started doing a bit of bodybuilding stuff as you do when you're like 19, 18, you're like, let's get the gains going.
Give those girls, yeah.
Exactly. So did some of that, got into powerlifting as well. At university in second year I actually had glandular fever from just overtraining, maybe going out a bit, not sleeping enough, all of those sort of things, not eating well, and that completely wiped me out. I lost 12 kilos in 3 weeks. And I was really skinny, really weak. At that point, bodyweight was the only thing I could do. So I started doing bodyweight training and never went back to powerlifting. I just kind of got carried away with this stuff. Handstands as well caught me probably about a year after I started doing bodyweight training. And then all the other things that go along with that. And here we are today.
Sweet. So yeah, with that said, because obviously I have a very similar background of like going from one extreme of just weightlifting to then going to the other extreme of pure calisthenics. And so obviously some of you may know that I actually enrolled in Bodyweight Basics. Yeah. Tom's program at the start of this year, January 2019. And it was really good because like I've never been able to actually combine the two of using primarily like mainly calisthenics, but then using the right tools and accessory to really maximize performance and minimize injuries risk. So I'm curious, like obviously, because that was the first time I actually managed to really crack the code because of your guidance. Tell us more of how you really got that to click, because I'd never previously seen anyone else to actually really do that.
Sure. I don't know. I think Phil Hub, the Michael mover, he does that quite well. But like for me personally, I actually progressed quite quickly with calisthenics because I had such a good base doing powerlifting, bodybuilding. I was already strong. I'd already done a lot of bent arm stuff, and so my progress was good. And it got to a point where I just couldn't progress anymore, and I kept getting stuck. I was trying to do more skill stuff, more march, more front lever, and it was like this wouldn't budge.
Muscle imbalances too.
Muscle imbalances, weak points, like external rotator cuff things, and I was reading a book at the time. I was reading Mel Sip and Yuri, long Russian name, a book called Super Training, which is like a master's in biomechanics in itself. And they were talking in there about basically what would be called general prep basics. if you don't have a strong foundation, your peak of performance is going to be much lower. So I went back to basics. And I did like weighted push-ups, basically weighted dips, weighted chins. Just did that for like 3-6 months. Didn't even touch clutch, didn't even touch front lever. Came back to it, and I was like twice as strong as I was on the left. I was like, what is this? So yeah, it was more like, how can we best focus on those basic movements, find the weak links like biceps, triceps, things that aren't stimulated enough. How can we prevent injury, strengthen the rotator, and putting those all together.
Yeah, so I mean, both of us, we've kind of had same like sticky points. Like you had golfer's elbow, and then what else did that lead to? That led to
I had golfer's elbow, and also ulnar nerve compression. So I was out for like 9 months of that, and then I did a flag on a palm tree because you know, as you do when, and I tore my supraspinatus, and then that led to bicep tendinopathy. And bicep tendinopathy on the other arm after learning one-arm handstands. I had some whole list of injuries, but thankfully the last year I have been injury-free.
Yeah, and obviously I fell for similar mistakes due to improper guidance and that. So with that said, what do you feel in regards to, you know, the person watching this video? Like, what would your best guidance be in regards to, you know, making the most progress consistently over a long period of time when it comes to calisthenics bodyweight training?
I would always, it's something that I get to do with my clients all the time, is always like spend time on the basics and keep cycling them in. Like, you need to do it to a certain point, then you can do some fun stuff, but you always need to come back or have a level of base of just doing some basic movements. Really, those core push-ups, pull-ups, pike presses, dips, rows, that sort of thing, cycling them back in, making sure rotator cuff is strong, so plenty of external rotation work, whether that's single arm Cubans, what have you, trap through raise, and yeah, taking regular breaks as well.
Yeah, deloads. Like, I know a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, don't know what deloads are. So a deload is practically where you either have a week or training session or two where you simply half the intensity in half, and there's multiple ways you can do it. But that way, it's almost like I say to some clients, it's like keeping the battery completely full, because so many people, they actually keep it all the way down until like the battery's died and they're trying to like.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do this at attention level. So at the moment, I'm doing a fatigue cycle. I'm purposely trying to overtrain myself, but then I'm going to take a week off. Yeah, it's a bit more advanced. I'm going to take a week off, and then you get what is called super compensation. Like, training is great, but training's not where you make the gains.
Yeah, it's recovery, isn't it?
Exactly.
So yeah, in regards to success, in regards to calisthenics, it's really, as Tom said, the basics, and of course the law of progressive overload, constantly over time, you know, whether it's adding more reps and then slowly increasing the intensity, just keeping it basic. Like, there's so many ways, of course, that people overcomplicate it, but
yeah, I think push-ups, like weighted push-ups, weighted dips is nice because it adds a number to it that you can track. Like, I'm doing 8 reps with 20 kilos, then you're doing 8 reps with 25. Like, it's easy to track.
Yeah. So with that said, you know, going back, of course, both of us, when we've been on kind of like the pure calisthenics only type of mindset, we both suffered big like long-term injuries. Like, for me, it was elbow tendinopathy. I had all issues with my bicep, shoulder, and that. So going back, what are like some of the main pitfalls and mistakes that you made that you wish you could have avoided if you actually had the right guidance before?
I don't think it's necessarily calisthenics that causes injuries. The issue of calisthenics is it's quite tendon heavy. And people don't often have that tendon conditioning, and it's something you build up over years. So the challenge would be to ease on into it, and I don't know how you do that at the beginning, because it almost takes getting injured to understand that you need to take it easy and take it slowly. So yeah, it's I don't know.
I'd say one thing you said with tendons, obviously, one thing that's emphasised in calisthenics is the eccentric, because obviously that's when you're doing tendon stroke.
Yeah, sure. And high rep stuff, like, again, don't miss out on building your base. Like, do a lot of high rep stuff that's going to help you, like connective tissue work and remodeling. So I wouldn't miss out there. And I don't want to say it, but I kind of do want to say it. Just like, injuries aren't the worst things. Like, we don't want to snap your arm in half and do that. But like, injuries. There's a book by Iron John is the name of the book. I can't remember the name of the author, but he talks about wounds becoming wounds. So it's like this idea of rebirth.
Battle scars.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not necessarily like battle scars, like, oh, look at me, I've got this many injuries. But it's an education of your own body, definitely, and understanding how much you can push the limits. And the more injuries I've had, I try not to get injured, obviously. But I also understand that I'm strong. Like, your body is strong. There's definitely people who are so afraid of being injured that they won't push themselves. So it's a double-edged sword. You don't want to obviously cripple yourself, but you want to be able to push yourself to a certain degree.
So yeah, I'd say really like the same mistake I made is I was literally thinking it like as you were talking, but now I've forgotten. Basically, like, you know, the mistake of shit.
So I forgot the question halfway through the answering. Like I just went with where I was thinking.
Basically, take care of your tendons, do your accessory work, and
do some bicep curls, do some tricep extensions.
They do definitely help. And bear me just a second, I had a question, but I actually forgot. So, I'm actually going to read it off here right now. So, when looking at your own progress as well as your clients' results, what are the most common trends you see behind an individual's consistent progress and success in regard to their fitness and calisthenics journey?
It's a well-loaded question.
So it's like, you know, when you see whether it's yourself or a client make really good progress over a consistent period of time and sustain it, like what are the main common trends that like you tend to see?
Just consistency. Consistency in the sense of sticking to a training program for a set period of time, not just every single time you go to the gym you do something else. It's very hard to track progress. It's actually a crap way to train, and I've been there and made my mistake. I never do that again. If I don't have a program, if I don't have something that's consistent, I'm not making progress. Number two is that nutrition is important. Nutrition recovery. Like my clients who take their nutrition seriously are the people who are making progress. Like you can go hard in the gym, but if you don't recover, as we said, you don't make the progress. And also the ones that are patient and focus on quality, especially with handstands. Like with strength training, to a certain extent, you can just turn up, do the work, apply progressive overload, and you'll get better. Handstands need a different type of mentality and care and attention.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you aren't ready to do that, then you can kick up against the wall and you'll be doing the same thing over and over again and not making progress. So being present, taking care of it. That's kind of what the warrior energy is.
Exactly.
It's a masculine energy, but it's to do with doing things right, doing things for the right reasons, taking care, taking pride, developing skills.
Yeah, and again, like one thing I say to clients is like, the sexy stuff that tends to be advertised is the stuff that doesn't really work, but then it's like the boring stuff like progressive overload and calories is what actually produces results.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I said. I didn't even train planche for like 6 months, just did weighted stuff, came back, planche was there. And I'd been doing a lot of fancy planche stuff beforehand that didn't make any difference.
Progressive overload, my friends. That's all you need. Sweet. So I have a few rapid fire questions. And again, I have actually forgotten them off the top of my head. So when you hear the word successful, who's the first person that comes to your mind?
Man. I think my dad. That's gonna sound more corny.
I hope he's watching this.
I hope he's watching this. My dad, my parents, they're like
Mr. Merrick.
They're just, you know, I always respect. He always says my family comes first. I respect that. And
I respect.
I don't think you need to be earning loads of money or doing whatever. Like, if you're happy, if you feel that you're contributing something to the world that is benefiting people, I think that's the best thing you can do. That's who comes to mind first.
Sweet. I've forgotten the second question. What are your thoughts on ab workouts? You know, the standard like circuits, the Russian twists, the sit-ups.
Annoys me a lot.
Yeah, it annoys me a lot. So, do you mind to share? Because I think it's.
Can I do something really obnoxious? Be like, I don't do ab training.
I don't do ab training too. So,
but it's I mean, if you want, I don't know why people obsess over abs. Abs is just low body fat. Core stuff is important. Don't get me wrong,
but it's doing the right.
Especially if you do body weight, like because we're going to be doing mostly movements in which our scapula and the body is free to move in space. We're not stuck on a bench or pinned down. We're going to have some form of core training built into it. I don't think it's essential. I think some is useful. Like, hanging leg raises are great. Probably all you need, to be honest.
Exactly.
Core stuff that you do 5 different exercises together, and it's like, okay, yes, you get a burn, but there's nothing actually.
There's no progressive overload in it. Yeah. So it's like,
go to the gym, look at the people who are in the gym, look at the people who don't make any progress, look at the people who do. Generally speaking, and this is like the people who are just, they go in, they run on the treadmill, they do some ab stuff, they look the same week in, week out, month in, month out, and they don't really change. And it's the same with the people who do classes. Like, I know there's the exceptions, some people do well, but.
Yeah, so with that said, or I mean, this doesn't really link to the last question whatsoever, but how do you feel that, you know, is there a favorite almost failure of yours that you are really glad that happened because it later came like of a much greater advantage, if that makes sense?
Failure. Yeah, my golf server.
Yeah.
At the time was the most frustrating thing. So I literally couldn't train out body for 9 months. Like all of those gains, all of those biceps. God. But at the same time, it exposed for myself personally a lot of issues at the shoulder that had caused the golf elbow, and ultimately I've come out and I'm stronger. I can still do one-arm chin-ups, which is something that I was trying to get but couldn't get.
Yeah. So I mean, for you watching this video, my friend, like every adversity, there's always an equivalent advantage you can take away from it, regardless, as Tom has demonstrated. Right, yeah, and I'm pretty sure as well that, you know, your YouTube channel definitely took off because you had to like work around and make different videos, didn't you? And it's like those videos that did really well, it's while you were kind of injured.
I think, yeah, I started focusing more on flexibility. I'd been focusing on flexibility anyway, for like probably a year before that point, but like, actually no, it was because of the injury I focused on flexibility. I couldn't train upper body and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get middle splits. So I trained that for like a year while I couldn't train upper body at all, and obviously learned a lot more about flexibility stuff, and that's kind of my channel's more well known about flexibility stuff, so yeah, I guess you could say that has helped.
Exactly, you always got to keep moving forward, my friend. So like next question is, what are some like words of advice you hear in the calisthenics niche that you can't stand hearing because it's just like, do you know what I mean? It's like really bad advice or it's not really bad advice, but overrated advice that people still, you know, take on board. So like for me, I think as an example, like ab workouts, you know, the circuits and like Russian twists and that, I think they're just crap.
They are. I think what annoys me the most, not necessarily the calisthenics community, just in general, is from the perspective of the coach, because I've been there as well, is the attitude that like, this worked for me, therefore it works for everyone else, or I can do it, therefore everyone else should be able to do it. And I had the same attitude when it was just me, and as I've coached other people for the past few years, it's not like that. It is nothing like that. Just because it worked for me means absolutely shit. Just because I can do it doesn't mean, like, the amount of variation I've had in clients. I've had clients who've got a 10, 20 second handstand in 6 weeks. I've had other clients that have taken 9 months to learn to kick up because they've got a fear of being upside down. Like, yeah, that's probably the one thing that annoys me, is when you can tell somebody is genetically gifted and like obviously they've worked hard, you can't get good results without working hard, but then they kind of say like, I do it this way, therefore you should try this way. Cool, give me some genetics as well.
Yeah, so pretty much what Tom is saying is that, you know, be careful with some of the advice you read online, because of course it may, you know, work for someone like in particular, but it may not necessarily work for you based on your goals and needs, or even like your body structure.
Yeah, just look at the length of my arms. Like, Dan's like had crazy
You're like twice the size of me.
Exactly, like I'm 6'4", I'm heavy, I've got long arms. It makes life a lot easier in some regards, like I was doing deadlifts, but harder in other regards. So, like, just understand we're different. And,
absolutely.
You know, yeah, you may be frustrated with some of your flaws, but you've also got pros and good sides that other people are jealous of. So.
They are what make us unique, make us who we are.
So
anyway, that's kind of getting a bit into like the psychological side, right? But the last question I have for you is, if you could have a billboard that you could kind of just have anything on it in regards to like a favorite quote of yours or something, what would it say?
I would say this. I mean, I would say the Socrates quote, which is like, I'm going to butcher the quote, you can Google this up, but like, it's essentially, no man should grow old without knowing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable of. That's a bit wordy for a billboard, so I would actually still add a meeking saying, which is, you can't go wrong with getting strong.
Yeah.
Like, talking about the mental side of things, me personally, as an 18-year-old, the mental benefit that I had, like going to the gym, doing weight training, having that, I think it can go one of two ways. Like, you can have a negative response to your body. You can be like, oh, I'm not big enough, I need to lose more fat, I don't like this. But it can, if you treat it right, have that like real positive effect on somebody's self-confidence, So many people I've seen, like, they can't do a handstand, but it's more that they think they can't do a handstand because they don't think they're capable of something. And then you get them doing something that they think they can't do, and they're like, oh shit, I'll go do this, that, and that. They change their perspective completely. So I think, yeah, like, we're very, very fortunate in the society that we live in. Things are quite easy. And I think there needs to be some level of adversity, like physical adversity. We've got lots of trouble with like money and affording things. Like, that's enough stress in itself, but like having a cold shower.
Yeah.
Doing a session.
Do you take cold showers every morning?
Yeah.
I do.
5 years, it's the best.
Carry on.
But yeah, like having that, like, you have to do something you don't want to do, you don't know if you can do it, you push through it. It sounds super fucking cheesy, but it's actually, I just think it's like a great mental benefit.
Definitely. And I think, like as you said, like strength honestly fixes everything, you know, physically, emotionally.
Can't go wrong with getting stronger.
It's everything. So yeah, if you could give, like, very last question, if you could give, you know, the person watching this video right now, just one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just start doing. Do something. Pick something, stick to it, do it for 6 months, do it for 3 months, then don't waste your time thinking about doing something, just do it. It's the best thing to do. You'll figure out along the way. Exactly. There's a lot of paralysis by now.
Yes. I still suffer with that a bit, but yeah, knowing is enough, but you know, it's actually applying it.
Applying is better.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. So yeah, where can they find you? Because of course, you know, Bodyweight Warrior, bodyweight basics.
I have, again, like, people want to start somewhere. I have an app which has a bunch of free programs in. So it's called Tribe, spelled Trybe. Some free programs in there that you can hop on. Yeah, my YouTube channel, Tom Merrick or Bodyweight Warrior. And you're in good hands with Jake.
Website, Instagram.
Oh yeah, just search my name. Bodyweight Warrior. It's all good.
Sweet, nice. So yeah, Tom, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure having you.
Like, I mean, I've never.
How are your shoulders feeling?
It's a shame I didn't actually record it, but we may go another time. But Tom basically obliterated my shoulders, and I still can't really feel them. But anyway, yeah, it's been awesome talking to you, meeting you for the first time, and then obviously the workshop. Good stuff. And so yeah, obviously check out Tom's stuff. If you're watching this video, you probably have checked out Tom's stuff. But anyway, you know, as that is enough of us today. We're about to head off to some Wagamama's and enjoy some food, getting those gains, and you know, keep moving forward, my friend. Catch you next time. Well, actually, the stronger side.
Get a thumbnail.
Oh yeah. We'll get a thumbnail like. Oh no. It's like we'll cut the video now, and then get a thumbnail.